It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and welcome to everyone listening on the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, and we are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. It's time for the morning rundown for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport here in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, here we go. Here is the morning rundown for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, brought to you by the Glock Store. Number one, right now, just a few minutes ago, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testifying before a Senate committee in Washington, D.C. as part of his confirmation hearings to become the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. His cousin, Caroline Kennedy, went on last night and did a YouTube video in which she called him all sorts of names. This is familial love, apparently, in the Kennedy family. We'll get into that, but let me just say Caroline Kennedy would have been better off saying nothing because it did not reflect well on her or on her family. Number two, Caroline Leavitt, the 27-year-old press secretary for President Donald J. Trump. She was yesterday, held her first press conference, and it was a tour de force. We will have that here for you, details of that in a bit. Number three, Donald Trump yesterday endorsed the Tennessee school choice bill, currently in a special session here in Tennessee. Number four, that special session, the bill has moved forward through a couple of House committees, sailing through the Senate. There will be a floor vote on it probably tomorrow. And right now, sources tell me it looks like it's going to pass in the House narrowly, and the president's endorsement of it certainly helped. Number five, we learned yesterday from that press conference that the drones in New Jersey were not the enemy. Number six, today, Donald Trump will sign the Laken-Riley bill. Number seven, liberal federal judges are trying to temporarily stop every one of Trump's executive orders. It's deja vu all over again. Legal scholar Phil Klein will join us in just the next segment to talk about that. Number eight, so sad, Jim Acosta leaving CNN, and he threw a little fit on the way out. We've got that clip. And number nine, our good friend Gina Swoboda has been reelected as the chairman of the Arizona Republican Party. We'll talk to her in hour three of this program. There you go. That's the morning rundown for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. Now, this is where I tell you about my friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. One of the things that people love about the Glock Store is their recurring gun giveaway sweepstakes. Just since last October, 8 lucky people have won the factory stock Glock of their choice just for entering the sweepstakes. Well, now they're in sweepstakes number 9, the Abominable Sweepstakes. The entry period will end at midnight tonight. You've had 2 weeks, so this is your last chance. Short entry periods have meant fewer entries, which means you have a better chance of being a winner. You really should enter right now. To find out how, just go to glockstore.com/TAS, as in the Abominable Sweepstakes, for complete entry instructions. No purchase is necessary. There's even a way to be auto-entered multiple times. That's from my friend Lenny McGill, the CEO, giving back to the Glock community by giving away Glocks. Yep, that's a Glock Store thing, and we are very proud to be sponsored by them. glockstore.com/TAS for your chance to win the factory stock Glock of your choice. Okay, I promised. Jim Acosta, terrible journalist, terrible guy, whining on his way out of CNN. You got to listen to it. Clip one.
And I just wanted to end today's show by thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and the show. And after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here doing the news. People often ask me if the highlight of my career at CNN was at the White House covering Donald Trump. Actually, no. That moment came here when I covered former President Barack Obama's trip to Cuba in 2016 and had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners. As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home this lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I have always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies.
Okay, I can't bear it. You know, the biggest liar in the world, Jim Acosta. He's crazy. Okay, let's go to real news. Carolyn Levitt, home run yesterday. Let's start off with her introduction. New media. By the way, we at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, we are indeed going to apply for White House coverage, and you'll probably see us asking a question. I may go there. We may have Tom Pappert go there. We may have a few others go there. So let's go to clip 3, Caroline Levitt on new media. Welcome to the press coverage, press conferences at the White House. Clip 3.
Millions of Americans, especially young people, have turned from traditional television outlets and newspapers to consume their news from podcasts, blogs, social media, and other independent outlets. It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. To do this, I am excited to announce the following changes will be made to this historic James S. Brady briefing room, where Mr. Brady's legacy will endure. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House.
Okay, let's stop there. And now I want to jump forward to actually our buddy Matt Boyle, who's my former boss at Breitbart, good friend of mine, known him for well over a decade. And Matt, of course, was recruited by the great Stephen K. Bannon at Breitbart, as was I. Matt was there. He's got a permanent pass, and Matt had the second question. Here we go, clip 13. Matt Boyle of Breitbart, our friend who'll be on the program here tomorrow, asking the second question at the briefing at the White House by Caroline Levitt yesterday.
Yeah, so Caroline, first off, thank you to you and President Trump for actually giving voices to new media outlets that represent millions and millions of Americans. The thing I would add, I've got a two-part question for you. The first is just can you expand upon what steps the White House is going to take to bring more voices, not less, which is what our founder, Andrew Breitbart, believed in, into this room where they rightfully belong?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said in my opening statement, Matt, it is a priority of this White House to honor the First Amendment. And it is a fact that Americans are consuming their news media from various different platforms, especially young people. And as the youngest press secretary in history, thanks to President Trump, I take great pride in opening up this room to new media voices to share.
Well, she does. And I think, there's an application process that we'll go through. We do know John Fredericks will be picking up his pass in a few weeks. We will be applying, and you may see me there asking some questions. We may be broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. on occasion. When we come back, the great Phil Klein. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We welcome to our Zoom Newsmaker line right now one of the greatest legal scholars in the United States of America, our very good friend, former Attorney General in the state of Kansas, now Professor of Law at Liberty University, Phil Klein. Welcome, Phil.
Michael, good to be with you.
Phil, to me, there's a little bit of deja vu all over again. Now, by that I mean President Trump, as you may recall, in January of 2017, signed a number of executive orders, and immediately the lefties went to federal court, and they got sort of left-wing, various left-wing attorneys, or judges, rather, at the district court level, to temporarily halt those executive orders. And now we have the same thing again. This time around, there was an executive order which basically stopped a number of payments of federal programs, and the left raced to a federal judge. They found one. I think it was an Obama appointee, and they've temporarily halted the executive order. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the judicial system as they respond to President Trump's executive orders.
Sure. And this is the courts. They will try to balance the congressional authority to control the purse, which they do have, with the president's impoundment authority. In other words, because Congress passes a law and says, here's some funding for it, doesn't require the president to spend all the money. That would be irrational. The president has the ability to use discretion to try to save funds, and those funds are dedicated for specific and sometimes some general purposes. On the other hand, it would be a problem if the president had unlimited authority to limit or prohibit the use of funding that Congress provided. I mean, let's imagine, if you would, and I'm sorry about that noise in the background, let's imagine, if you would, that the president decided not to fund the Defense Department and in a protracted manner refused to allocate any funding for the defense of the nation. Of course, that's not what President Trump did. President Trump is clearly in an area where he can review these funds and determine if they're being used for the proper purpose and try to find savings where he can. But you can see where the president's authority to refuse to spend what is appropriated could run dramatically contrary to Congress's authority in controlling the purse. So I think the role, or what the president should do, and I think what he's going to do, is the administration will run right down the middle and cap in that authority and say, look, we need time to review to make sure that there's efficiency here, that these funds are being used appropriately, and we do have the discretion within the executive branch to not spend all those funds. And if he does that, I believe that he will be backed up by the courts.
That's very interesting. My sense is that 2025 is going to be quite different than 2017. You may recall all of these various immigration executive orders from 2017. Various district federal judges around the country would, issue temporary restraining orders against those executive orders. And even though they were one federal district judge in one area of the country, they would, for a period of time, be able to stop that executive order throughout the country. Now, I think that's the case in this instance right now. I just get the feeling that game plan of the left is not going to work as well in 2025 as it did in 2017. What are your thoughts on that, Phil?
Well, I think you see a president that is experienced, and he is hitting this on multiple fronts. He believes firmly that he's elected on a mandate, as I agree, that the federal government is bloated and oversized, that it wastes money, such as spending $50 million to send condoms to Gaza.
Yeah, but that just came out yesterday. I don't know, Phil. There's like 2 million people in Gaza. They sent him $50 million worth of condoms. That seems like not a good use of American taxpayer money.
Well, of course, I think the American people agree. But this is part of the problem. This is something a little bit of a different issue, and it's unaccountable government. And President Trump is addressing that. He's saying, look, the bureaucracies are running the show, even in defiance of a presidential mandate that was handed to him through the electoral process. And so we're going to stop that. And the way we're going to stop it, first of all, you're going to show up for work. And we're going to guide you in what you do. And by the way, here's a buyout because he's got to get around a lot of civil service protection for these federal employees. And we're going to pause all of this spending because we don't think you're doing it consistent with the designs of Congress, nor with consistency with the mandate. So he is addressing the unaccountable government we have, which really occurs through this nonprofit network and affiliation with the administrative state that enriches thousands of people who have learned how to manipulate the government process to their benefit through federal grants. And I mean, bully for him, go for it. So the president is pushing the limit in many areas. I think you will see him, as it relates to this particular issue, offer a reasonable time frame for this pause, and that the purpose is to find deficiencies and to ensure that funds are flowing consistent with the purpose of the appropriation and the congressional allocation of authority to the executive branch. He has to do that. That is the job of the president. And I think if he does that and puts a time frame around it, it's hard for the courts to prevent him from doing that.
What about the email that he sent yesterday? Apparently it's gone out to hundreds of thousands of federal employees already. By the end of the week, I guess it'll go out to 2 million. And he said to all these federal employees, he said, look, if you'd like to, you're welcome to leave and resign, and we'll pay you up to the end of September. And if you agree with this, all you have to do is reply to us with a subject line headline that says resign. Tim Kaine, senator from your state of Virginia, was whining and complaining about that being very mean. I think what's your comment on the legality of that communication, and do the federal employees have a leg to stand on when they're whining and complaining about it?
About showing up for work, or about being offered a
buyout?
A liberal severance package.
Yeah.
So,
do nothing.
Many in the private sector would love that opportunity to have that length of time to adjust their life. And it's an offer. It's not a firing. So it's so mean to say, look, we're paying you more than most people in a similar area in the private sector make to work. And we're going to require you to show up. And by the way, if you don't want to work here, here's a good severance package for you.
Yeah.
It's stunning to me that the left would say that is mean. That is just the left worried about that their control of the administrative state is going to lessen. And that those who, if you believe, Michael, that really government should have a say in every aspect of our life, what we eat, who we spend our time with, how close we can stand to them if there's a virus around, whether we have to put a mask over our nose or nose and mouth, all of those things, you're going to need a lot of federal employees. But if you believe that the American genius is not found in those windowless offices in Washington, D.C., but it's around our kitchen tables and people building their dreams
in a garage, making some stuff that you want to sell,
and that people want to buy. You don't need all of these people.
Yeah.
And so you have a real philosophical clash going on, and that's good. That's good. And I'm glad that the president is being bold in his leadership, because the entrenched, I was speaking this morning, if you took a map of wealth in the United States and colored it by county. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
wealthy counties are this color and the impoverished counties are this color. You would see that in the 1950s, wealth was pretty well distributed around the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it's all in the Beltway.
It's all in Washington, D.C., in the suburbs around it, where you have the Beltway bandits who get all these contracts and, just write papers and reports that don't really do much of anything except confirm what the people in power want to be able to tell folks. And then the bureaucrats they make a pretty good living. I am not crying at all that President Trump has told 2 million of them, if you don't like it, you can have a severance that take you from now until September. Those are pretty nice terms, it seems to me.
Yes, it is. And what the media is going to do, the legacy media right now, they're going to run around and try to find the few people who might be impacted on this. And the impact as it relates to this nation is not there. Right.
Cry me a river.
In fact, the savings that is invested, that you are allowed to invest in your future, is going to change lives more profoundly than shaving some off the top of the federal government.
Phil Klein, great legal scholar, professor of law at Liberty University. Phil, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Up next, Tom Zalastowski, We the People, Ohio. The View from Ohio. The governor's race heating up. And what do you think of the first 9 days of the Trump administration? Back after this.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul-off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We're joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by our very good friend, Tom Zalastowski, the founder of the We the People Convention in Akron, Ohio. Been our friend for 16 and a half years, an early organizer of the Tea Party movement. Tom, before we get to your assessment of the first 9 days of Trump 47, let's jump into some Ohio business. In Ohio, the buzz has been Vivek Ramaswamy, a native of Ohio who grew up in Cincinnati, now lives in Columbus, made a lot of money as an entrepreneur in the pharmaceutical area, and an early organizer of Doge, now has left Doge. And the rumor is sometime in the next couple of weeks, he's going to announce his candidacy for governor of Ohio. But somebody beat him to the punch. The Attorney General Yost there said, "Hey, what about me? I want to be the governor of Ohio." What do you make of all that?
Well, there's definitive evidence now. It just broke yesterday that Vivek has hired the team that helped elect J.D. Vance to the Senate to run his campaign for governor. So that's a pretty clear indication that the die is cast, and that's what he intends to do. So we expect an announcement of that, probably within the next week or two. We did see Attorney General Dave Yost announce he basically is saying, hey, Vivek's never been elected to anything. He finished fourth in the presidential race, and therefore, I've been elected to all kinds of offices. So, I think people will elect me. The problem with that is it looks very, very clear that not only does Vivek have J.D. Vance's endorsement, but that he has President Trump's endorsement. And it's real simple here in Ohio. If Trump endorses you, you're going to win. So we're very excited about that here in the grassroots in Ohio.
Do you see anyone else getting into the race?
We understand that our current treasurer, Sprague, is thinking of running. There may be some other people, but I really think it's a fool's errand. I think that this is... Again, Vivek has the most important thing here in Ohio, and that is he's got the self-worth to fund his campaign.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be beholden to the typical people that do the pay to play with Republicans in Ohio. And that's what's going to really generate a lot of enthusiasm among the grassroots. So, self-funding and a Trump endorsement, I don't know how you beat that.
Hard to beat. Well, we'll see how that all plays out. The election, of course, will be, the primary, I think, is in May of 2026. I know we just finished the November general election, but now game on. It's not, it's really, you got the governor's race in Ohio. You have a governor's race coming up here in Tennessee. There's some talk that Marsha Blackburn, the senator, said she's thinking of running for governor.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
Then you've got the governor's race in Arizona. You've got a lot of stuff going on. All right, now, Tom, let's talk about this. We'll keep us posted, if you will. 9 days into the Trump administration, what grade do you give Donald Trump for action and communication?
It's got to be A++++. You and I have been doing this for a long time. We've had our wish lists of things that we, felt needed to be done. He superseded anything anyone could have imagined. It was just breathtaking, literally. And then you, as someone who covers the news on a daily basis with your star newspapers and this show, and myself with our website at leadingpeopleconvention.org, you just couldn't even keep up. I finally told my viewers on my podcast on Saturday, I said, you simply have to follow me on X, because it's the only way that I can keep up with what Trump is doing and keep you informed. It's just the most efficient way that I can do that. And it's been awe-inspiring. And you know what's interesting, Michael? His approval ratings keep going up. I just saw a poll yesterday that showed that Donald Trump is approval rating is 69% with Black Americans. How do you like that?
Wow. And by the way, I saw this headline in the Babylon Bee the other day.
I love it.
Journalists begged Trump to take a day off.
Well, I said to myself, Trump kept saying, you're going to get tired of winning. We're going to win so much. You're going to beg me, please, Mr. President, I'm tired of winning. And I said on my podcast, I'm not tired of winning, but I'm exhausted.
The guy works 20 hours a day. And of course, on Sunday, he's playing golf. And on the third hole, the president of Colombia says, we're not taking any of those deported Colombian illegal aliens. I've sent the plane back. But by the eighth hole, after Trump said, yeah, well, we're going to throw on these tariffs of 25%, they'll rapidly go to 50%. The Colombian president caved and said, Mr. President, if you don't mind, please let me send my private plane to pick up these illegal aliens. It's like,
it's so think about that. There's a perfect example. Action. Donald Trump is a businessman. In the business world, you don't have a committee to talk about what we should do. Yeah. President Trump's walking through the construction site of a giant building he's building, and you got to decide what tile to use in this this hallway right then and there. And that's his orientation.
Trump spent his whole life doing that. And you say that Trump is a very detail-oriented guy. You know that because if you go to any Trump property, and I've been to, several of them, not a lot, but several of them, they are really fantastically built.
They're meticulous.
They're
really
very well done. They're A-level properties, and that's part of the Trump brand, real high levels of excellence. Speaking of excellence, so Trump was so busy. There was not time for the press secretary to hold a press conference until yesterday, the 8th day of his administration. 27-year-old Caroline Leavitt walked up to the microphone there and just held a master class in communication. First, she opened it up to all new media. So the second question came from our buddy, Matt Boyle at Breitbart.
Yes.
Which was terrific. Then all the lefties asked her stupid questions, and she just whacked them down one by one. No binder. I think she said, my brain is my binder. I was watching Jesse Waters yesterday, and somebody said, yeah, she should be called the Minder. Tom,
well,
how impressed were you
that.
with 27-year-old Carolyn Leavitt's performance as press secretary yesterday at that White House briefing?
I think it's part of a bigger picture. I am so excited about bringing the youth back into our politics. We've had these dinosaurs in both parties for your and my entire involvement. And now you've got J.D. Vance, who's like 40. You got John Huston, who's like in his 50s. You've got, this 27-year-old. How about Kristi Noem? How about Pam Bondi? How about, I thought he was a sexist, a racist, a misogynist, all these things. But who's showing, more ability to attract people who look like America to be in his administration? It's awesome.
Speaking of Kristi Noem, she has a sense of how to communicate action. On her first full day on the job, she was up at like 2 a.m. in New York City with the ICE guys, rounding up Trent de Aragua illegals, wearing one of those, bulletproof vests. That's that we see that of her. The only outside the office thing we ever saw of her predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, was toting a bag of like elite clothing from an elite mall as it was walking through the mall. That's the last visual we saw outside the office of Alejandro Mayorkas. I think that is a stunning example of the contrast between the Biden maladministration and the Trump administration.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And listen, man, Kristi Noem is one tough person. Her father raised her right. And if you think she's just a pretty face, you got something coming, baby. Same with Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi is no damn nonsense. And it's just great to see these strong women in powerful positions. Isn't what the left always told us we needed and we didn't want to do? But wow, how come our people actually are strong, competent women and yours are just DEI hires?
Last question, Tom. At the beginning of her press conference, Carolyn Leavitt said, if you're new media, you can apply here to come and participate and ask questions in the press conference. John Fredericks has already done that. He's going to get his press pass. Of course, Matt Boyle, our friend, asked the second question yesterday. We at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, we will be applying for that.
Awesome.
Our big question is, Tom Zalestowski, will you at We the People convention, will you be applying for a press pass to go to the White House and ask questions?
I've already had people begging me to do that.
You should.
I don't know, Michael. That may be a step too far for me, but I'd be glad to be reading from the Ohio Star, in particular here in Ohio, if your guys are there reporting. I think it's an incredibly important development, and it's going to make America much better informed about what our government is doing.
All right, next time we talk, I may be on in the White House. Just after a briefing. All right, Tom Zalestowski, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Have a great day.
When we come back, we'll have the highlights of Carolyn Leavitt's press conference yesterday in the White House. Just home run after home run. Back after this.
Hey, I'm Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is paid for by Job Creators Network.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I want to talk a little bit about what a terrific job 27-year-old Caroline Leavitt did yesterday in the press conference. She's the press secretary for Donald Trump. And the difference between Corinne Jean-Pierre Binder and Caroline Leavitt cannot be overestimated. She was just great. Now, who is this person and why is she so good? Well, let me tell you a little bit about her background, and then we'll play a couple of these clips. She's 27 years old, just married, just had a baby, had a busy life. She's from New Hampshire. Her family owned an ice cream shop and a used truck dealership in New Hampshire. She got a Division II college softball scholarship. So she's an athlete. Played softball for St. Anselm College. It's a Catholic college in New Hampshire. You see, St. Anselm does a lot of polling on New Hampshire primaries, et cetera. She was an assistant press secretary in the first Trump administration. Then she ran for Congress at the age of 25. She lost, I think it was like, she ran a good campaign. She lost like 54-46, which wasn't too bad. And, you know, in New Hampshire, pretty well done. But the person in the moment have met. And I think running for Congress really helped her in terms of her ability to comprehend issues and understand that the press is going to hit you with, you know, questions you have to have facts on. Oh, boy, did she have the facts. Here's some clips. Let's go with clip 4. I think this was like an ABC News question about how many of those illegal aliens are criminals. And her answer was great. Here we go.
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, in fact, let me just stop for a moment. It is clearly a criminal violation to enter this country illegally. Now, I've heard some people say it's a misdemeanor, not a felony. What do you care? Misdemeanors. You know, a federal court convicted my friend Stephen K. Bannon of the misdemeanor of contempt of Congress, and he spent 4 months in a federal prison. This is a Navy veteran who spent 4 months in federal prison. So I think it's a criminal act, except if you're Peter Alexander from NBC, you don't quite understand that. Here we go, clip 5. Leavitt responds to Peter Alexander, a graduate of Northwestern University School of Journalism, by the way. Clip 5.
About illegal immigration. He said they're going back home where they belong, and we start with the criminals. There are many, many criminals. NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime,
Okay, stop. Okay, this guy is an idiot. I'm telling you, because I'm doing this night law school thing at Nashville School of Law, and we're just taking criminal procedure and constitutional law. Headline for you, Mr. Stupid NBC reporter. There is no such thing as a civil crime. Every crime is a criminal law. It's a criminal violation. And they didn't teach that. They didn't teach you that at NBC News. They didn't teach you that apparently at Northwestern University School of Journalism. But that, my friend, is the law. You get an F in criminal law. All right, keep going.
It's not criminal.
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking, though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal.
There you go. All right, now let's go on to those criminals. I want to get clip 6 up. She gave examples of some of these criminals. And let's go. Clip 6. Let's get it right now.
Child aged 14 years or younger. ICE St. Paul has arrested a citizen of Honduras who was convicted of 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor. ICE Buffalo arrested a citizen of Ecuador who has been convicted of rape. ICE Boston arrested a citizen of the Dominican Republic who has a criminal conviction for 2nd-degree murder. This criminal was convicted of murder for beating his pregnant wife to death in front of her 5-year-old son. And ICE St. Paul also arrested a citizen of Mexico who was convicted of possessing pornographic material of a minor on a work computer. These are the heinous individuals that this administration is removing from American communities every single day, and to the brave state and local law enforcement officers, CBP, and ICE agents who are helping in the facilitation of this deportation operation, President Trump has your back.
Okay, so he's got the back, but who doesn't have the back is apparently every blue city mayor, Brandon Johnson, the guy in Chicago, the mayor of Minneapolis. Oh no, they want illegal aliens who are criminals out on the street so they can commit more crimes against American citizens. The world is upside down. But they are, if I can use one of their phrases, they're on the wrong side of history. When we come back, RFK testifying as we speak before Congress, the Senate, in his confirmation hearings. And they're coming after him in very vile ways, as is his cousin, Caroline Kennedy. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this.